Hi, this is Sue Jackson from the Book by Book blog, here with another Friday Reads. So this week I started a new book, The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. Ray and I have a long history. Back when I was in high school, which was a very long time ago, I got totally obsessed with Ray Bradbury. I read every book my public library had of his. So I'm sure I've read this before, but it was a very long time ago. I also wanted to get a head start on fitting in some classics this year. Every single year I sign up for a classics reading challenge on my blog. I sign up for a bunch of different blogs, and there's always a bunch of different challenges. And there's always a classics. But last year I didn't do very well. My goal was to read 6 classics during the year, and I only read 4. So I thought I'd get a jump start, fit one in January. And my husband gave this to me sometime last year, either Mother's Day or my birthday. So like I said, I'm a huge fan of Ray Bradbury, and this is not disappointing. It's an unusual sort of book. I noticed in the front where they've got all of his books listed, also by Ray Bradbury, they list it as a novel. But it's really a collection of short stories that are loosely linked. I take it back. They do list it as a short story collection, which is what I would call it too. So the idea is, and you can kind of see the picture on the cover, though it's a little weird. It starts out, and the thing that links all the stories is that there's this man covered with tattoos. His entire body is tattooed. And he meets another man. I think they're in Wisconsin. They're both walking along the road. They meet each other. They end up camping together that night because they're both traveling. And the illustrated man, the man with all the tattoos, explains that his tattoos tell stories. That at night when the sun goes down, while he's sleeping, the tattoos move around and tell stories and change. He's actually complaining that he can't keep a job in the freak show at the carnivals because his bosses are never happy when they find out his tattoos all changed overnight. So anyway, that's kind of the setup. But then the rest of the book is this series of short stories. So as the guy that met the tattooed man lies there watching the guy's tattoos during the night, each one tells a story, and then the book is those stories. So I'm about a third of the way through so far. As with all Ray Bradbury, it's very clever, very thought-provoking. I find it amazing that, he was writing science fiction in the 40s and 50s, and yet so much of it is still relevant today. So, I don't want to give anything away, but each story is completely unique. The stories themselves are not linked other than the fact that they're all based on this man's tattoos. So the first one is about like this future that is super high tech. And often you find things written that long ago about the future, are kind of laughable now. But this is really high tech, even for now. And these people are living in what we would today call a smart house. And things go wrong. Let's just leave it at that. I'm trying to see. There are lots of stories that take place either out in space or on other planets. Bradbury's always a big fan of, humans exploring Mars and Venus, etc. So that's a lot of fun. But so many of his stories have a very thoughtful, thought-provoking core to them. And that's what I really love. So I am very much enjoying The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. And on audio, I'm still listening to Mercy Street by Jennifer Haig. As I explained last week, she is one of my favorite fiction authors, and she hadn't published a book in a few years at least. And it had probably been at least 5 years since I had read one. So I was thrilled to see she had this new release. It comes out February 1st, so it's not quite out yet, but next week. And it's great so far. And I've been trying to put my finger on why I love her novels so much. It's just the writing. She has this way of she writes about ordinary people living ordinary lives, but somehow she just completely brings them to life on the page. So Mercy Street centers around a women's clinic in Boston, located in a poor area of the city. And it's on Mercy Street, obviously. The actual clinic has a longer name, but everyone just calls it Mercy Street. So this book is interesting. She's taking a different approach here. Different chapters are about different people, but their lives all intersect some way. So one of the main characters is Claudia. She works as a counselor at Mercy Street. She has for years. So it's not just about Claudia today and, her experiences working in the clinic, but it also goes back to her childhood. And she grew up very poor in rural Maine, living in a trailer with her mom. Her mom took in a lot of foster kids that Claudia ended up mostly bringing up because she was the oldest. So she had a rough beginning, but she can really relate to some of the clients that come to the clinic that, are really struggling in their lives. So that's Claudia. She did end up going to college and getting a degree, and working now as a counselor. Another character is Anthony. And Anthony he grew up in the local area. He was injured in a construction accident. He was working construction, got a head injury, so he's got some lingering brain damage. He lives with his mother, so he's a full adult. I think Claudia's in her 40s. Anthony's probably maybe 30s or 40s. And Anthony's whole life is focused around the Catholic Church, where he goes to Mass every day, and protesting at abortion clinics, and particularly at Mercy Street because it's pretty close to him. So that's kind of his full-time job. He goes to these protests. He set up a website for the church that is anti-abortion. Then there's another character is Timmy. Timmy actually grew up with Anthony, so they know each other from childhood. And Timmy is the weed dealer for both Claudia and Anthony. So there's quite a bit of interconnection there. And Claudia actually meets Anthony at one point, though she doesn't know who he is. Finally, there's Victor, who does not live in the Boston area. I think he's in rural Maryland. Victor is an extremist. He's a survivalist. His house is stocked, to survive the apocalypse. He's got a whole room full of guns. And he is obsessed with anti-abortion sentiment for entirely different reasons. He is very much a misogynist. He's a horrible racist. He feels that, the core of the problems in America are because people of color are reproducing at a faster rate than white people. So he personally, sees it as a personal affront when a white woman in particular gets an abortion. So he does work with Anthony online, and the two of them have set up this hall of shame with photos of women who go to the clinics, not even understanding that these clinics offer a wide variety of services, and every woman who walks in is not there for an abortion. But regardless, the two of them have set up this hall of shame online. So clearly Victor is a dangerous person. don't know what's going to happen there, but that's just kind of the setup. So there are all these different characters. The author moves back and forth in different chapters between the different characters, and you really get to know them well. So I'm really enjoying it. I love Jennifer Haig's writing, and so far this is just totally engrossing. That's Mercy Street by Jennifer Haig. So that's what I've been reading this week. I would love to hear what you're reading. Tell me in the comments down below what you're reading, what you plan to read this weekend. I'd love to hear about it. I love to talk books, and hope you enjoy the weekend.